All right. I was about to say it's been a while since I've done the old smoke to fade opener. Two Buddhists walk into a bar. One Buddhist says to the other one, strange, isn't it, how the intelligent man, the wise man, struggles to meditate because he's got all that wisdom and knowledge and creativity and curiosity and drive and motivation. And he finds it harder to clear his mind than the idiot who hasn't got those things, is just a bit dumb. And he can meditate easily, he can clear his mind easily. And the other Buddhist says, kind of makes you think which one's the idiot and which one's the intelligent wise man. So with the start of a new year, when I just dropped that bomb, when I just dropped that bomb of wisdom itself, I thought I'd make a little video about being. I thought I'd make a video about being who you are. Because it's peculiar how we've got so far out of touch with very simple things, very simple needs in life, and have been consumed by things no one really ever wanted. I think most of the people who watch my video, they'll watch films about how England was in late 19th century, or even Middle Ages, times when life was simple. Well, it appeared simple. You know, you had to raise animals, you had to grow food so that you could feed yourself, you had to raise a family, and you struggled to do that against the elements, against the seasons, against invaders. But apart from that, and a few local traditions, a culture where people would maybe drink together, a culture where people would get married, a culture where people might have a religion in their lives that would bring them together, a culture that actually had a function. As opposed to a culture that appears to do anything but function. A culture that, if anything, does the opposite to what a culture should do. Provide the social needs of a group of people to bring them together so that they can have an identity within that group. It's peculiar, really, that technology, all technology, brings with it a sacrifice. You know, you might gain something, but you lose something. And I think that's been wholly neglected. I remember studying years ago for a project at art school, 50s American advertising. And I was struck by a particular period in American advertising where it was all about saving time for housewives. Like vacuum cleaners, washing machines, even like refrigeration and things was sold on the back of saving time. So all the things the housewife had to do, she wouldn't have to do for much longer, or she certainly wouldn't have to do for so long, which freed her up, of course, to do what? Freed her up to do what exactly? Because if that's her job, once she's been relieved of the heavy lifting of washing clothes, once she's been relieved of the heavy lifting of slaughtering animals, plucking them, skinning them, taking their insides out, preparing food, well, she doesn't do a lot else. She might choose to, because a new culture might come along at the same time called leisure. I bet there's not one of you watching this who hasn't been at some point exhausted and frustrated at the energy required to successfully engage in leisure. I mean, I know it's weird at the moment with the coof, but remember going on holiday. Remember the hassle going on holiday is. Remember the hassle of preparing a trip. Remember the hassle of going to the cinema. Very rarely is everyone excited. I reckon, so let's have a look, you got 5 mates. They've all agreed to go to the cinema to see the new movie that's come out. 5 of them, right? One of them's got his own business. One's on the dole. One works in a textile company. And one does a few dodgy bits of work here and there. But they're old schoolmates, and they decide to go to the cinema, see this film, maybe go for a few drinks afterwards. Now, one of them, I think I might be peaking occasionally, let me just turn this down. Now, one of them, he's trying to stop drinking, and he's trying to work out how he's going to negotiate the bit afterwards. Is he going to say, no, I've stopped drinking? Because then they might ask him why he stopped drinking. Then he's going to have to tell them about the last 3 girlfriends who've left him because he gets shit-faced and pisses the bed and can't get it up and is an alcoholic and is an absolute nightmare and his parents don't like him anymore. So he's got that to deal with. And coupled with the fact that if ever he wanted a drink, it's when he's going out with 5 of his old mates. Now, one of them has just had a new baby, and he loves the baby, but fuck me, it's hard work. He's knackered. Goes to work all day. The mother's not really pulling her weight, so he gets home, makes his own dinner, tidies up the house. So he wants to just say, he doesn't want to spend a Saturday night out. He just wants to sit on his arse and get some rest. The only night he can. But, you know, they're his mates. The bloke who runs a business, he'd rather watch that film. He'd rather download a torrent. He can't be asked for all that queuing up and fucking, you know, all that weird stuff about cinemas. And also it means he can't drive his nice motor there. He's got to get on the tube and all that rush hour nonsense. And it's fucking cold out. It's middle of February, England. So this is before anyone's even left the house, right? Because this is life. Now, maybe I've just spent 50 years meeting weirdos. I mean, maybe you know 5 people who are at home going, oh, yeah, can't wait to see old Johnny and Mick and Peter, can't wait. Has that ever been you? When we were at school and I was at a peculiar age to be at school because we had computer science. It was called computer studies, but A-level was computer science. But this is in 1985, 1986. And the speed of computers, the speed that the technology was moving at was, almost in itself an irony, because the schools couldn't keep up. No way. They'd write a curriculum and get in a load of our computers were called links, something like that. It's hard to remember because we didn't get to use them. We got to look at them. Got to stand around them while the teacher... The program was called Turtle or Logo, I never remember. I think it's Turtle. And what you could do with this black box with a green screen was plot a line forward, then plot an angle, then plot a line at that angle. And our teacher showed us, he plotted a line and he said how many, I don't know what it would have been, but how many bits of something forward. And then 90 degrees, then 90 degrees. He drew a green box. Took him about 30 minutes. And we all just stood there going, that's entertainment. And then they showed us a video. Point of sale. POS. And they were talking about computers being used at the point of sale. So everything that's bought and sold, everything that's someone takes through the cashier, bleep, she scans it, and the shop knows it's been sold at what price, and they can download all this data. And apparently in 20 years everyone was going to have one of these computers in their house. I mean, a lot of people already did. 1982 was the release of the ZX Spectrum, Clive Sinclair, kind of an honorary Doctor Who in many ways, Clive Sinclair. And that joke is rehearsed. I've met, I think, 5 or 6 of the Doctor Who's. I always forget because I'm not a fan. I've been spoilt, really. By me, I don't mean looked at. I mean had a drink with and had a chat with. And I've also had it wasn't really a chat, but, I exchanged a few words with Clive Sinclair. And when I was telling a mate who is a Doctor Who fan, he was going, go on then, name them all. And I was like, I can't remember. I don't even remember their names. I was like, Peter Davison, alcoholic. Quite funny, actually. My mate, the bloke I'm talking about in the story, he actually met Peter Davison when I did. And he was terrified. It was a Soho members club and he didn't know, the way of being in there. And so I'm sitting there talking away to old Dr. Davidson. And I only know this from afterwards because my mate told me, but my mate, he was with this young lady, Dr. Davison was. And and he told me later that he didn't know what to say to her, and he went, this is amazing, I'm a real fan of Doctor Who. And this girl said, yeah, he's an alcoholic and a wife beater. I don't think she was talking about Doctor Who. That would be a scandal, wouldn't it? Anyway, and I said to him when I was going through all the other names of them, and then I went, of course, and Clive Sinclair, he's an honorary Doctor Who, and he absolutely got what I meant. Anyway, well, the nearest that England came to a real Doctor Who, I think, is what I'm saying. So yeah, he'd got the ZX Spectrum in a lot of houses. I mean, and now we'd got the point at school where kids were teaching the tutors stuff. I remember being in one class with a very good friend of mine, still a very good friend of mine. He was the bloke who got me on the internet because there was a real barrier for entry at the beginning with the internet. And he saw me just dying, withering away at my mother's house, got me a computer, got me online, changed my life, you know. Got in early, set up a business, give me a quality of life I don't deserve. Because of the naughty goings on before that. But anyway, he was sitting next to me in one class and we were bored shitless. You know, one textbook that was about 5 years out of date between four of us, all cranking our heads around, teacher rabbiting on about nothing. I'll get back to the point of sale thing in a minute. And at one point, the tutor's gone, this bloke, Mr. Murphy. He went, "Are you talking, Mark?" To my mate Mark. Mark went, "Yeah." "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, what, you know all this, do you?" And Mark went, "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, what, you reckon you could take the class?" And Mark went, "Yeah." And he went, "Well, go on then." And Mark went up and explained it so much better, so much quicker. Just explained what the bloke was trying to talk about, this fucking point of sale lark. And how the shop could then see what stock they needed to order, that could be automated, the computer, and on things like Tomorrow's World, and on this video that they were showing us about point of sale, the computer would then speak via a modulator, demodulator, which we know now as modems. He would speak that they always loved that. He would talk to another computer in a completely different office, in a completely different town, where bits of information would be sent across fibre optic or similar lines. Therefore, then, and you know, you're like 14 going, and I remember part of this point of sale thing. I remembered it when I was writing that essay, when I was doing that research about 50s advertising. Part of it was saying how, you know, every house and every shop would have a computer in it. And it said that the computer will save time. You know, it'll be like, the work of an accountant, for instance, or a mathematician who would normally need 3 or 4 days to perform a maths task. This could be done in seconds via a microcomputer. And I believed them because I had a basic understanding, literally basic. What is that? Beginner's all system instruction code. Maybe I've got one of those words wrong. Anyway, and I could see that, and even as I was quite a cynical young man. I hated those authorities. Let's not go there. I've been there so many times. Those teachers. Oh, it was like the wall. It was like Roger Waters all over again. I remember them saying that it would save time. And I remember thinking, hang on a minute, so let's take this accountant. He's got a job where he's got a lot of figures. Some blokes, one of his clients, yearly figures, his annual tax or whatever, annual corporation tax. So he's got to put it all out, he's got to put it all in different columns, he's got to add it all up and all that. But if he gets it all on his computer, he gets what became like a spreadsheet or whatever, or accounting software, which another friend of mine used to write. He can just bang in all those numbers. He can bang them in as they go. In fact, he can get his client to do it. Just at the end of the month, he'll send his client a sheet. What have you taken? What have you spent? Bosh, bosh. Doesn't have to do any of that anymore. Just has to look at it, print it out. Not even print it out, look at it, email it to the customer at the end of the year. So he doesn't have to do all that work. So he's saved a lot of time. Let's say he's saved 4 hours a day. But what's he going to do with that time? He arrives at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and what would used to take him a whole day, he gets done in 2 hours. 2 annual corporation tax accounts. Done in 2 hours. Does his boss then say to him, well, You've done the work. You've done the work that last year would have taken you all day. You've done it in 2 hours. You might as well go home. Go and spend time with your family. Does the boss say that? Has the boss ever said that? Or has the boss gone, oh sweet, for the same wages I pay this fella, I can give him more work. So he gives him a load of other work, and this accountant's like, fuck me, this takes ages. What I've got to do now, what I'm trying to work out is this, and the customer wants to know the best way to, purchase stock and to use his financial resources as best in the best possible way. Because if he buys X amount, he gets it cheaper, but that's going to be sitting around for longer. He's going to have to pay for it to be stored for longer. It prevents him buying, diversifying into other stock for maybe 2 years. So, he needs to work this all out. And there's ways of doing it. There's algebra and, there's what do they call them? I can't remember. It's not my area. There's algebra. I tried to get across that one. There's algebra and that. Calculus. There is a word I'm looking for. You're all shouting it at the screen. But anyway, so he and another mate devise a program to do all that. So now, what used to take him 5 hours, which filled the rest of his day, boom, done. I'm finished, boss. I'm finished. I might as well just go for a walk in Regent's Park. No, I'll give you more work. So what the computer actually done for most, if not all, people who use them for work, didn't save them time, made them more efficient. And there's something ugly about a human being efficient in that context. And more comes with that, of course. Because, okay, so now you can do what used to take you 3 weeks, you can do it in 3 days. But let's take the accounting example. You are going to make some human choices. You are going to make some, offer some advice and things. And that could go wrong for that bloke's business. He might one day come to you and go, you know what, I'm going to try someone else. So there's a little bit of stress dealing with these customers. There's always stress. Have I done it right? Blah, 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 blah. But now he's got 6 more customers a day and all the stress of that lot. And them ringing him up all the time and sending him emails all the time. Which is kind of outside of work, weirdly, in today's computer-led economy. I'll give you an example, and this blows people's minds. Emails. Remember when emails came out? And the old mail system, which has been such a tragedy. I know we're not a museum, but an end of letters is a disaster. It's such a disaster. Letters are such beautiful things to receive and keep. And an email is nothing. An email is a pain in the arse, really, most of the time. Even an email from your girlfriend, because it looks the same as everyone else's email. It's the same type and font, layout, everything. My girlfriend, my first love, used to write me letters, and she used to draw all over them and draw things in the margin, and when she crossed something out, there'd be like they were just beautiful. And yeah, I've still got them somewhere. Big stack of them. I know exactly where they are, actually. It's trying to say something. Yeah, they're not there around somewhere. Don't mean much to me. First love, 8 years. Are you joking? I haven't read them for about 10 years. Will do, though. Will anyone go back and read old emails? I mean, I'm not talking about when you've just finished with someone. Obviously, you're going to read old emails for a few weeks, but 10 years later, are you going to go, oh, remember when? No. Are they going to be tied together with a nice bow? So you get all the added stress, you're more efficient, and so the email we called the old mail snail mail. It's like, what, a week to get there? Oh, if you wanted to send one to America, it could take 5 weeks. What a shame. Now we've got emails. Now I run an e-commerce business. We don't use emails that often. Do you know why? Too slow. The emails, people don't, occasionally we'll use them for sending big files, POs, PIs, whatever. But, there's software used by corporations like Slack, which is sort of like an in-house Twitter. It's just like a direct messaging system. Because when you send it to them, bang, they've got it immediately, and they can respond immediately, and you can see if they've received it. You've just got everyone there. Emails are too slow. And the likes of Slack will be too slow soon. It'll be automated, those kinds of communications. Emails have already tried to do that. I mean, it sickens me. This is dark. When I started seeing Gmail, Google Mail, first of all, I saw them suggesting what I was writing. So I'll be writing a bit, and then I'll put, you know what, if you could just cut me, and then I'd just go, try and pick up a glass of orange juice. And as I looked at the screen, it would say some Slack. I didn't write that. It would be like in really frightening, slightly ghostly, a lighter shade of a grey rather than a black, as if to be haunting my own future. And I'd be like, oh, they're telling us what to write. My part in this exchange is becoming less and less relevant. And then, a couple of months later, suggested replies to emails. And they've read the email because they're relevant, their offers. They're weird things like, thanks for letting us know, I'll look into it. And I'm like, whoa. So why don't I just cut myself out of that? Why don't I just get me emails to answer like they're suggesting? Because they're getting pretty fucking good at it. And the killer was yesterday. I used one for the first time. I used that response to someone. And I felt dirty. Man. Bing, thanks mate, nice one. And they're words I've used to reply before. So this AI is reading the email to get an eye of the type of answer. And it's reading the kind of responses I've given before. And I've had that account run out of space. That's how long I've had it. And I've got another account, which is a one word, and this is a private account, but it's one word at Gmail, just one word. That that you got to go back a while to get those. Even if you want your name now, it's Chris Z51829-*. But I've got a one word, and it's quite a funny word as well. It's I'm chuffed to have that email, but it ran out of space. So they've got 20 odd years. I can't remember when Gmail opened. 15 years maybe. Of information of how I respond to things, and so now they're telling me how I'd respond to things. Doesn't allow me to grow very much if I use them. Allows me to stay the same. Allows me to stay the person that they've made up of me over the last 15 years communications. If I use their suggestions, I'm not growing. I'm not changing. If I look at the way I answered emails 10 years ago to the way I do now, I'm a different person because I've had 10 years more life experience. But now they've started telling me who I am. If I keep using their suggestions, I'll always be the man that they created in that 15 years. So I'm at my most efficient. I'm being stressed out of my mind because I can get more work done, which means taking on more stress and all the other things that come with individual jobs. And then the bloke at the other end of the email, he might reply with a predictive response as well. And they'll start doing this where it'll be a paragraph. Believe me. You know, they'll be able to isolate bits out of the email that's sent. And they'll say to you, you know, is this person someone you want to talk with? They'll find interesting words for these things. Is this someone you want to talk with as a... They won't say this, but this is what it means. As a human, as an individual. And then you'll be putting people in different categories. And if it's someone that just keeps bugging you with lengthy, indulgent, sort of over-poetic nonsense, you'll put them in the auto-response. And your auto-response will be so good, you'll be like... you and I write a load of rubbish sometimes, but there's some good stuff in there. Anyway, hope you're well, take care. And you'll just set that auto. Now imagine they do that after a while as well. And you might there's this app out there, I can't remember whether it's an app or a business or whatever. Yeah, it's an app. And what it does, you can either link it with your Google Calendar or whatever, or just put the data in. So you put all the important birthdays in, all the important anniversaries. You sit there for like a few hours one day, putting them all into this calendar, and then you select what you're going to send them. So it could be flowers, could be a bottle of wine, could be blah 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 blah. But you set all this up. You can also set it to random, you know, be random out of a variety of things, and it will send your letter. It will send, you know, the card. Hello, John. Another birthday. You know. I hope you're well. A little bit older, a little bit wiser. Lots of love, Chris. And you can just set that up to be automatic, removing you from your life. Removing you from your life. And so you start seeing this picture being built up. We looked at quite an interesting meme the other day, and it was someone holding up a plaque. The image doesn't really matter, but it says, it was something like, if you're queuing up to see the new Matrix movie, I can't remember, it's called something like Repercussions. It ain't that. If you're queuing up to see the new Matrix movie and you're getting pissed off that they want to see a passport, then you didn't understand the first movie. Funny little meme. And yet, while you build up this picture, where the freer we've become, the more simple. The more productive we've become, the less human we can be. Because being productive isn't something that humans naturally need to do. Humans don't need surplus. Humans need enough. But there's not a lot of money to be made out of enough. So, going back to these two Buddhists, I meditated before this video. I've done a 30-minute, and it's really difficult to just concentrate on your breathing. That's all it is. That's all meditation is. Don't let any hocus pocus bullshitting hippies try and tell you otherwise. Just concentrate on your breathing. And what does that mean? Well, just think about it. Because it's one thing that you're going to be doing you have to do it, right? So you can stop all other functions that you're aware of. Obviously your heart and your kidneys and that are at it. But you can just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. And it's a way of just focusing on something and being aware of it, so that everything else becomes irrelevant. And it's impossible to do. This is why people practice it forever. People dedicate their lives to the practice of meditation. I remember I had a few mates round once, and I said, come on, let me take you through a guided meditation. I said, don't worry, I won't be going into hippy drippy stuff. It will be I'll be saying a couple of words here and there. And after about a minute, I was looking at them all. I had my eyes closed when we started with them, but I opened them. And I could see two of them, you know that one? That one. Don't know if you can see it. You know when people do that with their teeth? I was thinking, fuck me, 1 minute. And they weren't grinding their teeth, but they were chewing down. And I said, just stop a moment. I said, who out of you have got your teeth together? And with their eyes shut, all of them went. Now, they weren't all doing that thing where your cheeks go out, but just as that sort of level of, when you've got your teeth together, because you're a bit... Some of you might be doing it now. And I remember just thinking, what a long way to go if they can't sit doing nothing but concentrate on their breathing. And when you try it. I'll lay down the gauntlet. Is that the saying? I'll flick a glove at you. I'll wear a Crombie. Try and meditate for 3 minutes and just concentrate on your breathing. Get your stopwatch open on your phone, and the moment you're thinking about that motorbike that nearly crashed 4 days ago that you saw, or wherever it is, because our brains are full of so much noise. Our brains are full of so much noise. That's why when we see those medieval mock-ups of people just getting milk from the cow, getting eggs from the chicken, wife doing her bit in the house, chopping logs, we yearn for it. Because I live in a Southeast Asian country, there's always these Chinese epics. And it's all that kung fu mythologizing. And they're very, very formulaic movies. I mean, it's the hero's journey. Like, you just stick it together. But always at the beginning, lovely little remote few houses, tiny little village, river, women walking around in groups of 3 looking perfect with their white clothes on, just draped over them, and the men, sharpening swords, chopping logs, and there's a few animals around, and you look at it and you think, fucking hell. You think of the noise in the head of the average Westerner, that they can't even just shut their eyes for a minute without getting stressed. Because the irony, of course, about meditation is that when you go into it, you actually reveal your lack of a meditative state. You don't go into it and tune out of all that noise. Quite the opposite. first thing that happens is you realise how much noise is in there. And that's the greatest gift that my brain has ever given me. You think, oh, all right, okay, right, breathing, easy. So all you got to do is sit down, somewhere comfortable, shut your eyes. I usually just sit here, I just turn away from the lights if I'm up for a 10-minute. And I just look over here, make sure I'm comfortable. I don't want to be thinking about, there's a little pain here. Make sure I'm comfortable. And you start breathing. And 20 seconds, I'm thinking about, I've got to sort out the thermostat and the shower. Oh, fuck it, get back to the breathing. Okay, breathing. And you don't catch yourself out when you make one move. You don't think, oh God, why am I thinking about making a cake later? You'll be 9 stages into something. I'll be thinking, it happened tonight. I'll be thinking about a character in my novel that I might make a bit more of. You know, it's an autobiographical novel, but there's a bit of artistic license here and there. And I thought it might be interesting to make a bit more of her. But I didn't get to her from the meditative state of breathing. I was breathing. And now I can't remember exactly, but I do know the kind of... To get that far, I probably thought, how's my SUBSTACK getting on? I should have a look at my numbers. The numbers have been good, actually. That Whatever Happened to Huntings had fucking thousands of views. Some cracking comments on that one as well. Is the novel like that? Is it more like that, or is it more like the other ones? It'd be that Min character, the bird who works in a pharmacy. You know, so I've gone boing, 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 probably over the space of about 30 seconds, before I've realised, hang on, I'm meant to be meditating. I'm meant to be concentrating on my breathing. Why can't I do it? And so I'm going to say that again. The shock, perhaps, of meditation is that the first time, and most times when you try it, you don't get the meditative state. You get the noise. You get cultural lines of force coming at you from all angles, some crossing over, some repelling, ricocheting off each other. This whole tapestry of everything you've ever known, everything you've ever done, everything you've ever experienced, everything you want, know, need, desire, have failed at, have forgotten, continually being you. That's what you get. And so when you start doing more and more meditation, and you start being able to cut that noise out for longer periods, you know, I think the longest I've ever meditated for is 40 minutes, and it's a drain. It's really heavy. But I'd say the longest I'd ever stayed in a meditative state where I'm concentrating on my breathing is probably about 50 seconds. And I'm guessing that. It could be half that. But that's why I do it, because it reminds me that there's a lot of nonsense in there. There's a lot of nonsense that's been put in there to make me a certain human. And I want to get away from that as much as possible. I want to get away from it. Not to separate myself from the world, but to separate myself long enough so that I can be a little bit more aware of what that is, a little bit more aware of who I am, and a little bit more aware of how the two can interact in a way that's best for me and those I love. So if you want some advice on the new year and something maybe to give a go, it's not going to cost you any money, you don't need any special equipment, Well, you do. You need a functioning brain. But if you've got this far, that's questionable. But maybe give it a go. But don't overdo it. 3 minutes. Set your alarm on your phone. But make the alarm something nice. Because there's nothing worse than meditating and then you're going... But, you know, set yourself maybe 2 minutes a day. And here's the mad thing. And again, the noise, right? I just said maybe 2 minutes a day. 2 minutes. And I reckon there's probably about 20-30% of the people watching this video thinking, all right, I'll give that a go. Just focus on my breathing for 2 minutes a day. And out of that 20 or so percent, I'd imagine about 2% do more than 3 days. Happy New Year!